Okay, it's now 7:40, and so I'm calling the meeting to order. Let's start with a roll call of people here so we can have it on the record for when they do the minutes. So can you start, Mr. Eduardo Cameron? I can't hear you. You're still muted. You're still muted. Ms. Frazier, can we unmute him? Okay, there you go.
Okay, Eduardo Cameron, committee member.
Next, there's someone on the phone. The end with 26.
Mark's shelf ends. Yeah, that's it.
Who's speaking?
You know, one is kind of how much stress was that? It's just a scooch. Okay, there you go. Well, it all paid off. You won $3,500 that round. You're up to $6,500.
Okay, someone got their TV on. That's what it is. When you're not speaking, can you mute yourself so this way we don't hear your TV? Someone on the telephone with the digits ending in 26. Can you say your name? Hello?
Marie Gustave.
Thank you. Someone on the phone with the digits ending in 11.
Judy Aki.
Thank you. Ms. Balin? He's in.
Present, Balin here.
Thank you. And Storit?
Hello, Jay Sword. Just a guest. I'm a former housing committee member at CB17, so I wanted to drop in and say some comments a little bit later when you're ready. Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome. Next, Downs.
Mary Downs, board member, committee member. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you. And next, Patricia.
Hi, this is Patricia Rowe.
Thank you. Welcome. For those of you who are, what did she say? She just sent me a message. Those of you calling, place the names in the chat. Oh, okay. What are your names again on number with ending in 26 on the phone? Hello?
I'm sorry, I was driving. So yes, what was your questions?
Well, what's your name again? Your full name, because I'm gonna type your name for the chat for Ms. Frazier.
Okay, Marie Gustave.
Thank you.
My
And
pleasure.
on the phone ending in 11. What's your name again?
Judy Aki.
Judy
Aki.
Aki. Thank you, Judy. Okay, I think we have everyone, Ms. Frazier. Welcome everyone tonight. We still don't have a quorum because everyone hasn't responded yet as to whether they're on the committee or not. So we won't be able to have our minutes approved once again. So hopefully we can get that changed. So I'll just jump straight to the report that I'm going to do for you tonight. Basically, what we're going to have to do is start reaching out into the community so we can rebuild the board. And one of those steps I'm going to be taking is we've been invited, the community board invited to an event to do some tabling, and I'm going to go to this on the 15th to participate with some of the other members. So this way we can reach out to the community and let them know that they can join our housing committee. I'm going to have some flyers and everything for them and a sign-up sheet so they can sign up specifically. So this way we can start trying to show up the committee. And I'm going to try and participate in more of these so this way we can get more people involved in order to get the work done. And also, what I want to do with you tonight is start working with working on planning the town hall that I want to do for January. I invited CB9 and CB14 so this way they can participate with us, and they like the idea of it all. And so it's just a matter of seeing if they're going to be available to join with us. And I want to do it regardless of whether they're able to participate or not, because we do need to reach out to our electeds and have them be accountable to us and explain what they're doing to help our neighborhood in regards to housing and everything. So that's where we're at tonight. And so if you can like come up with ideas where you want the topics you want to make sure we present to them, because some of them I know going to want to prepare ahead of time, location where we can have it, where we can do it maybe as a hybrid where people who can't come, they can still view it online, a location we can have people come in. I don't know. If I can get some ideas from you guys, where we'll be able to hold it. And so that's where we're at this point. And so hopefully we can put together an event that will help our community so we can take it to the next stages and figure out how we're going to navigate this housing situation that we have happening in the neighborhood. So on that note, I'm finished my report, and any of you who want to chime in, feel free to chime in. Anybody, ideas? Because I want to make sure we contact our elected, but good, we got a raised hand. Thank you, Mr. Surratt.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. Number one, I appreciate your energy, and I take part in the CB9 housing committee, so I attend it regularly, and there are some major issues that are happening on Clarkson Avenue, which the elected officials, the government, are not informing people of what is going on in terms of the housing projects, in terms of information. So I have been trying to tell people what's going on and possibly what could happen. And I've been in touch with I think Miss Perry of CB9 Housing Committee, and Miss Perry is also I think one of the co-presidents at the Harry Silver, which has I think several hundred co-op owners there. She attended, I think, the housing meeting last time. Is that right, Ms. Fields? I think it was in the minutes that she joined last.
Last week, last month, sorry.
Yeah. So I would love to see a combination between CB9 housing and CB17, because East Flatbush has more in common for like just north of Clarkson, East Flatbush north of Clarkson and East Flatbush south of Clarkson, even though they're divided by community district. In my opinion, they have a lot in common, more than a person who's in CB9, let's say on Schenectady Avenue, has with somebody who's out on Franklin Avenue, out over there. So there's common issues. But just to tell you what my concern is that the Vital Brooklyn project is a massive affordable housing project, which has in my humble opinion, a disproportional amount that's going to the homeless, social services, and the disproportionate amount comes at the expense of families who should get the affordable housing. So just to give you an example, like Kingsborough West, which is at the corner of Albany and Clarkson Avenue, there's going to be 900 units that are going to be built by Albany and Clarkson. And of those 900 units, 35% is going to be 285 units of supportive housing, whose target population is homeless, mentally ill, and drug addicts. And my issue is not saying that the homeless shouldn't have a place to be, or mentally ill shouldn't have a place to be in terms of supportive housing. My issue is oversaturation of social services, because Clarkson Avenue is a dumping ground for homeless shelter after homeless shelter, and they're segregating also the homeless and the mentally ill and the drug addicts all across Clarkson Avenue. So you've got there. So the project, it's called Kingsborough West. So if anybody wants to Google it and get more information, it's Kingsborough West, Kingsboro West, Vital, Brooklyn. And that involves rebuilding the 2 homeless shelters that are there. That's around 370 units of homeless shelters. And it's not just going to be leased. They're actually selling the land. So now the homeless shelters will be owned by the homeless shelter provider. I don't know if you're familiar with, there was something called Breaking Ground. They're a homeless shelter provider, and they built maybe 3 years ago 110 units right on Clarkson Avenue between Albany and Utica. They put 110 unit transitional homeless shelter, and the residents from the block associations were not happy about it because of the problems and that come from oversaturation. So you have like Canba has 2 new buildings that were built maybe 5 years ago on the corner of Albany and Clarkson. There are 2 buildings there. Half of the units in each of those 2 buildings are for the formerly homeless, seriously mentally ill with drug addictions. So each one of them had almost 150. That was 5 years ago. So you got 2 Canba buildings on the west side of Albany and Clarkson on Albany. Across the street from that, you have 2 more homeless shelters that they're rebuilding. That's 4. Then they're going to put down 285 units of new supportive housing whose target population is the homeless, formerly homeless, and mentally ill. So 285, you have 4 existing. That's another almost 3 of them. So that's almost like 7 facilities for the homeless, formerly homeless, mentally ill. Then you have Breaking Ground, which built that last like 3 years ago. Okay, that's almost number 8. You've got a hotel on Utica Avenue that's listed as that's across from the Dunkin' Donuts. That's listed as a place for the homeless. So my issue is not just to say that the homeless shouldn't have a place to be, but it's Clarkson Avenue is basically a dumping ground where they're oversaturating the homeless, and there's a big question on parking. So if you put down 900 units, and assuming that, let's say, 285 are supportive housing, I'm talking about Kingsborough West, this one project that they're building. You've got 615 units. How many parking spaces are going to be there? Because a lot of people in that neighborhood, talking about Southeast Crown Heights by Community Board 9, and also the people in Community Board 17 who live south of Clarkson, such as the 38th Street Block Association, people in the 39th Street Block Association, there's an issue of parking. So there's a question of, when you build the 615 units, how many parking spaces are they going to give? Because a lot of people use cars. And my issue is that many people need parking spots in the street, around there, to drive, to get to work. You have people who live in homes where, because the houses are so expensive, you could have person lives in the home, there'll be a grandparent in the home, there'll be kids. You sometimes need a parking space. So if you take away parking spaces from people, if you put an exaggerated amount of homeless in the neighborhood, people are going to move out. And I've been in touch with 2 block associations, one block association, the 38th Street and 39th Street Block Association. I worked with a woman named Gail Dixon, who is active there and a resident and president of them. And I gave flyers, and we handed out like 100 flyers or something like that on 38th and 39th Street. And the sad part of it is that, people could listen to my opinion and people may agree or not agree. But the point is that people should be informed of what's going on, because it's all taxpayer money. The $400 million project, it's all taxpayer money. And the project is awarded a year before, and then they only come to the community board at the last minute when there's not enough time to do something, and they say, this is what we're doing. We're having a vote the next month. So I've been passionate about the issue. I think that, it's a shame that, certain neighborhoods are dumping grounds. And I wish that, you got hardworking people who basically are told there's nothing you can do. And, when I looked at it hard, there are some ways where, even though it's a state project, there are ways to fight it. So I won't take up too much time. I'm speaking at length. So, yeah.
No, this is information that we definitely need. And
Yeah.
if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor and typing up a small blurb about with that information on it, because that's something that I would like to include, and some information we would like to ask the electeds that we're going to be invited to this town hall, because they need to be accountable to us. And I'm quite sure they're going to say, well, give us some examples. And those are really good examples that you brought up, Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Soward about this particular issue? Anybody? Speak up now. Okay, Miss Bellin, please go. I recognize Miss Bellin.
More of a comment. If they're going to be putting people who have mental illness in these homes, why aren't they being placed in a mental institution, not in a neighborhood, and placed in these apartments? If these people have mental problems, they should not be there. They should be placed in an institution where they're getting the care that they need. So I think that is something we need to challenge them on.
Yes, so there's something we can put on the list, definitely.
And just if I could respond to Miss Bellum, if I can, or
yes, please go ahead. Yes,
yeah.
Floor.
So what a lot of this is it's called supportive housing, and they closed down a whole bunch of the mental institutions in the state, because the mental institutions, they said, I guess, it costs money to hire nurses, and the supportive housing is a limited amount of. It's very limited in terms of who they put there. In terms of nursing, it's a clerk downstairs. You have a custodian, but it's not what's called supervised housing, where there would be more, and then a higher limit, a higher above that is like mental institutions. So I couldn't agree with Ms. Bellin more that a lot of these people need the appropriate amount of care of people who either are drug addicts or alcohol addicts. And I don't know if anybody read in the paper, but there was a situation where a woman by Pathmark a few months ago was actually knifed in the back and killed 5 o'clock in the morning, and she was going to work, and there was a guy who was just drunk, alcoholic, and he was an alcoholic addict. He stabbed her, and it was by the Pathmark in CB17. So it's a risk, and I think it's wrong. I couldn't agree more.
Well,
Go ahead, Ms. Bellin.
I am a living example. A couple years ago, I took my granddaughter to the Cherry Blossom Festival at the park, Botanical Gardens, and she wanted to go to Burger King, and which her parents don't allow her to, but grandma decided we'll break the rules. So I took her to Burger King, and when we were done, I was trying to decide whether I should go home or go visit a friend, because at that time I worked in Virginia and would come to New York on weekends, and I came up for my granddaughter's birthday. And this guy, who looked pretty normal, suit, everything, briefcase in his hand, just threw his drink at me. And by the time I could turn around, the guy gave me one punch and actually broke my collarbone. I ended up in the hospital, was out of work for weeks, and I have the scars I have right now in my collarbone, 11 screws. So when it comes to these homeless mad people out there, I'm going to take a very strong stand on that, because if you looked at this gentleman, nothing about him said that he was homeless or that he was crazy or mad. So for them to be doing this, I think this is something that I'm going to take very to heart and make sure that something is done, because you cannot have that happening to people. I was lucky that I'm alive, that this man didn't kill me.
Right, that's scary.
Yes. Happened to me.
I'm sorry that happened to you. Oh my goodness. See, it's very scary out here, so we do have to be careful. You never know. You never know. Okay, so here's what I was thinking. I was thinking that we can do the town hall so we can address some of these issues on January 21. What do you think? Because if we give the electeds enough time to put it on their calendar, to check the calendar, they may be more likely to show up and participate. Any ideas on that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Good
So now,
evening.
so now it's just a matter of finding a location. If you have some suggestions, so that we can have both in person and what you call it, virtual. So this way we can get as much people eyes on it and as possible. Any ideas? Didn't everybody speak at once?
Mm.
What time do you want to have it, though?
Huh?
21st. What
Don't you-
time?
Oh, that's something else we need to discuss. I was thinking since it's a Saturday, maybe we do it in the afternoon. What do you think?
Sounds okay. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. So if not, it will be virtual.
That's why I wanted to do a combination of virtual and in person, so that if we do have bad weather, people can still participate virtually.
I'm thinking maybe that school on the Veronica Place, where the precinct has their meetings at.
This a school on Veronica Place. Hold on. Do you know that?
I forget the number, but the precinct always has have their precinct council meetings.
Do you have the address on that? Hold on. Precinct where?
72 Veronica Place.
Oh, you know what it is?
72 Veronica Place.
72.
46.
You said it's the school at the precinct.
Snyder and Veronica.
Meetings. Okay. So.
I'm just going to get a school a little bit closer, like the one opposite the board office, or right over there on Farragut.
You know what? While you're talking, is coming in mumbled as if the receiver is too close to your mouth.
No, Mom, no, I'm here. So can you hear me better now?
A little better. If you can move the receiver further from your mouth.
Oh, okay. I'm on it.
Okay.
No, I was gonna say maybe if not, we can find a closer school, but we'd have to, and we have time to check.
A closer school. Like where?
Like the one on Farragut Road, right there for Albany, across from the park.
Okay, understood none of that.
Farragut and Albany.
Oh, Farragut.
In Albany.
Okay. Is that Miss Bellin raising her hand? Go ahead, Miss Bellin.
What about the school for the blind on Eastern Parkway? I remember going to something there, I think some public thing they had there. I don't know if oh yes, it was for that senator who's no longer in office. He used to use that place. They have a good sized auditorium over there.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
that was Mallory. I think Mallory was there, but I don't remember who else. I was there too. Parking
Okay.
was horrible.
Parking is horrible. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So we have some ideas for locations. And I want to make sure I'm inviting all the correct people because I'm good at forgetting names. So we want to make sure we invite the assembly people and the Congress people and who's responsible for making decisions as far as housing and stuff go in our neighborhood, right?
City council members, can you hear me?
No.
I was gonna say the city council members, for this,
Oh, yes, senators.
and yeah, city council members, and the district leader.
Oh yeah, district leaders. I forgot about that. Senators. District leaders. The borough president, maybe we want to write. Do you want to hear from him as well? But he doesn't get to really make a decision on the votes on the housing, right? Mr. Sorrett?
Yeah,
But
I,
even, go
um,
ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead, Adele.
Well,
After
I
you.
was gonna say, maybe, yeah, but maybe the person that has some influence.
Oh, okay,
It doesn't hurt.
that's true.
Okay.
Mr. Sorrett, you was gonna say something?
Yeah, sure, if I can. Just responding to the just the as far as the borough president goes, that would be helpful if the projects on Clarkson Avenue go to ULURP, the land use process.
Yeah.
President would be part of it, but all of the land is state land. So what happens is the Kingsborough project is state land, and they're trying to tell people that basically normally there's no community board process and there's very little in it, but there's a lot of ways that you can fight it of what's going on, or at least to have a say in terms of what they're putting there. Um, um, so in terms of who to invite, I would ask for 3 people if I can.
Okay, hold on.
Actually, I would ask for 4 people.
Okay.
The city council person is Darlene Mealy, okay, who is in charge of the land at 681 Clarkson, which is basically I think almost like a 7.5 acre parcel on the corner of Albany and Clarkson. To give people a frame of reference, it's the end on Albany and Clarkson, the west end of right there, the north, the southeast, or actually the excuse me, the east part of Clarkson Avenue and Albany is the whole piece over there.
Mhm.
So Darlene Mealy is the city council person there. And in terms of who could be helpful, the way in terms of my idea, which I would say to you, when we have, if I have time here, is that Darlene Mealy is the city council person. The senator there, New York State Senator is Myrie, Zellner Myrie. The assemblyman is Cunningham, Brian Cunningham. He's the assembly person for the 43rd.
Okay.
So he's the state assembly, and then you got the state senator. But the most important person to ask to come, the most important person is somebody from the public advocate's office, Jimani Williams. Okay, and the reason is because Jimani Williams created this law that's effective June 1st, and it's a law that is what's called the racial impact law. And when you do a tremendous project or whatever it is, you have to do this whole environmental analysis according to city law as of new applications on June 1st, 2022. So the public advocate's office has lawyers. They have lawyers that are, taxpayer funded public advocate's office. They have lawyers there, and those lawyers can work for the community on this issue, because you're going up against the state. This is New York State. The person who's in charge of all of these vital Brooklyn projects is New York State Homes and Community Development. It also Empire State Homes, Empire State Development is also, it's a state agency which is for the redevelopment. And essentially what's going on is they're doing like an eminent domain action, in which they're saying that they can override the city laws, and they're saying you have no rights, and we're just doing this, and there's a general plan which will come in which people can object, but there's a certain way of fighting it. So I'm very into this issue in terms of giving the community a voice, and there's a way. The land at 681 Clarkson has a reverter, something in the title. There's a title issue. So they have this right to get the property back. So back in 1914, New York City owned all the land there, and New York City gave the land in like 1914 to New York State. And in the land, there's in the title, when New York City gave the land by deed in 1914, New York City gave it to the state. And then, but in that deed, it says that if it's ever not used for hospital purposes, New York City gets it back. So that,
Okay.
so because of that issue, that's in the RFP. So it's in the request for proposal. And I say where it's from. It's in the Kingsborough West, Vital Brooklyn request for proposal. And it talks about how they have to extinguish that property right. So when you have that, the way, because they're going to build, you know, like apartments and affordable housing. So in order for them to extinguish that right, you have city property. And the law that controls this is something called the UDC Act, like the Uniform Development Corporation Act. And there's a certain section in it, section 14, that says that when the municipality, New York City, has to get rid of the land, has to dispose of land, two things happen. It has to go to the city council. Okay. So, and the city council has to use whatever means to dispose of it that they would. So my argument, if I can get access to Jumaane Williams lawyers, and if they're willing to fight on the issue and take it on at the public advocate's office, is that right of reverter means that the city has a property interest. And because the city has a property interest, when you look at the New York State law, Uniform Development Corporation Act, all of this is online in case somebody wants to Google it. It says for the city to extinguish the reverter right, it goes to the city council. That's why I would like Darlene Neely's office to come, because she is the one who's going to vote on whether the city should give up their right. If they don't, then the whole project may not happen. I shouldn't say the whole project may not happen, but there's going to be a problem because there's going to be a title issue. Because because the way the deed reads is that then the city would have a right to take back the land where you give it over to the part of it. So there's a very complicated argument on it. And the way I see it is there is a chance that it will go to the city council and Darlene Neely will make the decision. And if you had hypothetically two community boards, like Community Board 9 and Community Board 17, who said, we don't like it that we don't have a say. We want to have this ULURP process to get rid of city land. We want to have a say in what's going on, or we don't like it that you're dumping 285 more units of supportive housing, or we don't like it that there's not enough parking because we don't have enough parking in the street. Then the community could have a say. So it's a complex sort of argument. I'd be more than happy to email it. I wanted to try to get an opinion from the New York State Attorney General, since Tish James has to sign off on this project. I wanted to get an opinion also from the Public Advocate's Office, because he's got lawyers there who can litigate it. And I went to in CB9.
Point of order, Ms. Fields. I just heard a point of misinformation that needs to be corrected.
Yes, can you let us know? I'm sorry, Mr. Story. I'm sorry.
The project was described as supportive housing. It is an affordable project where we are talking about providing rentals of less than $1,500 per unit. So the rentals range from $400, yes, $400 to something like a maximum of $1,400. So this entire discussion tonight is about stopping affordable housing. Okay, it's not supportive, it's not designed, and there's about 30% set aside for senior housing. So I think if information is being brought to this committee to stop a project that is going to benefit the community, we need to be fully informed about it, okay? I'm not sure what the vested interest is here. It's one thing if we are talking about homeless shelters and talking about the impact of it. This is not a homeless shelter. This is a development that is bringing what's affordable to, and we all know when we hear people talk, luxury developers talk about affordable housing, they're talking about people earning 80, 90, 100,000. This is housing geared. The one good thing okay, and this is not political, that the former governor did, okay, which just blew my mind, was provide for affordable housing before he left office. And if the city has agreed to let the state have the land, why are we engaging in a fight to stop affordable housing? This is not, this gentleman has all the information. Why doesn't he take it himself to Germany and see what needs to be done? So I'm just simply saying there needs to be clarity, there needs to be full disclosure here of the facts. And this, one more time, we are spending time here trying to stop units where the maximum rent is $1,500 for a 4-bedroom apartment.
So can I ask you a question, Ms. James?
Can I respond to that? May I respond? Can I respond to her comments?
Yes, go ahead, please. Go ahead, Mr. Sawyer.
Okay, so I appreciate, I actually spoke with Miss James. I told her about the project like 2 months ago. I called her up, I told her about it, I emailed her information about it. 2.5 months ago, I called her on the phone and we had a very lovely conversation. I went to the meeting for rezoning, which Miss James was chairing, and I said, I introduced information, and Miss James said, she said, what I was saying, much of what I was saying was false. So I would challenge Miss James. I disagree with her comment. As far as vested interest goes, I will tell you my interest. I'll tell you my interest. I'm a former member of the community of CB17, the housing committee. I was also on the CB17 land use, and I was on the committee, and I took part in trying to assist the community because I was on the CB9 land use committee, and I was against what de Blasio was doing in terms of the ZQA and the upzoning and all of that. So that's my background. I owned a property on Schenectady Avenue, and I made a lot of friends in the neighborhood. So my interest is in the geographic neighborhood of Southeast Crown Heights. And I'm a member of the shul there, the temple there. So I care about the people in the community, and a lot of people there have cars, and there's a parking issue, and people are in the dark. When you build 900 units, assuming 285 units are supportive housing, you get 615 new units, and the community is in the dark about the
Again,
proposal.
on point of order, that is false information. The persons who are going to be able to rent the apartments who are earning less than $20,000 a year are unlikely. So there is enough research to determine what number of
Okay.
units. Ms. Fields, may I suggest to you, okay, that to get full and complete information, that you reach out to the district manager and get information about the project and let them have a presentation. Because what we're getting here is once we're spending all of this time giving one-sided information, okay? I would suggest that you get the developers who are in charge of the project to come and make a presentation to the board, to the committee, so you can have full and complete, rather than spend, sorry, because this has been an ongoing issue, okay? First it started with the homeless shelter, and now it's moved on to, which is of concern to me, stopping affordable housing. Again, let me just say one more time, we're living in Brooklyn, where a studio goes for $2,000, okay? This is an opportunity for people in Brooklyn to organize themselves, get prepared to apply as soon as possible to get housing for rents as low as 500, 600, 700, and we are spending our time trying to fight it. I would suggest one more time you reach out. This is just this has been an ongoing discussion with this gentleman. Reach out to the district manager, have a contact, whoever is responsible for this, and let them come and make a presentation and present the facts so the housing committee can have a full and a complete picture of what is going to transpire on that side, rather than get the input of somebody who's trying to protect people who own property there, who are worried, and everybody should be worried about any development. I'm not saying that's wrong, okay? But we're getting the opinion of one person who is trying to protect his friends who live in that neighborhood.
And I'll if I may respond to that. I've been in touch with the Gail Dixon, who's the president of the 38th and the 39th Street Block Association. The Block Association, the majority of the homeowners there are people of color. And it's a shame that Black neighborhoods are a dumping ground for the homeless. I'm not against the entire project. I'm not against it. I'm not saying don't build anything there. I'm simply saying I want the community to be informed of what's going on and to have a say in it. And if anybody wants, I'll reference where my material comes from, and we'll see if Miss if JL, I can't see the name, but we'll see if the speaker before me can reference where she gets her information from.
Again, we are confusing two facts here. One more point.
Okay,
The homeless
everyone-
shelter, the homeless shelter is Community Board 9. Okay,
Everyone,
and you're
I
bringing
don't want to turn into an argument. Okay, everyone, this is the point of tonight is to get ideas and concerns together that we want to address with the elected officials that we are invited to the town hall. So each person will be able to bring up their own issues and have the elected officials explain what's going on and what they're doing for the community. But I don't want us to be like at each other because we're all going to have different sides on this. And right now, Ms. Bailey has the floor because she had her hand up for a while. So let's hear what she has to say on this topic.
I am not against affordable housing and people being able to pay $400, but I am strongly against saturating the community with mad people in those apartments, of people with mental challenges. So if they're going to be giving 45% of these apartments to low-income people, what percentage of the low-income people are crazy people? That's going to be in there. That's my concern. So I am all for affordable housing because as far as I know, and most of us know, the affordable housing that they've talked about in the past was not affordable for us, for people that look like me. So if they're coming up with this project where they're going to have rents as low as $400, kudos to that. But what about the mentally challenged people that they will be placing in these apartments? That's my concern. So I'm not about stopping it. I'm about challenging that part of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Mr. Story, you still have your hand up again. You want to speak again?
Yeah, just to point out, I referenced a figure that 35% are going to be supportive housing of the 900, and that comes out to 285. Where I get my figure from is I get my figure from the RFP, which is online. Everything I say is stuff that is online and that can be referenced. It's Kingsborough, West, Vital, Brooklyn, and it says 35% of the units are supportive housing. I'm not against the affordable housing project. There is a question as to how many parking spots are going to be there for the 615 units. And that's an issue for people around it. With regard to this just being a CB9 problem, Clarkson Avenue is on the edge of the districts. Across the street from Clarkson Avenue is CB17. And there's more individual homeowners between Linden and Clarkson Avenue who are going to be affected by that. So if in terms of saying that it's false, which is what you said, Ms. James, the 35%, go online, do your homework, and take a look where it says in the RFP that's 35% of the units are supportive housing. That was my point. My point is the parking and the supportive housing, and that they're not giving the information. The proposal was won about a year ago. They submitted the proposal. My issue is they're not telling the community what the devil is in the details.
On point of order. So on a point of order,
not
point
telling the
well
community.
taken. So we're wasting time here, Ms. Fields. Again, I appeal
Why so-
to you.
This-
You're wasting people's. I'm simply saying, let us get the
I think
developer
people
to
want to know what's
present.
going on in the community. Why should people be informed?
Let the developer come and there can be an open and free discussion. So at least you hear both sides of the story rather than one, because we are hearing one side of the story and we are being encouraged to take action. And we don't know if we're taking action which is adverse to ourselves. So I would suggest Ms. Fields, the district manager will have or can get information. Let there be a presentation to the housing committee to know exactly what is going to be going up there so that we as a community board can make an informed decision.
And that's exactly what I said, is that people should take, my opinion, and I'm allowed to have an opinion, and my opinion is similar to everybody who lives around there, is that there's no information that's being given into the community. The RFP states what it is, and there's technically no requirement for parking because it's a transit zone. So people were in the dark. So the only thing that I come to you is I say the issue and that I want the community board and the people to know what's going on. And if I didn't tell you about the issue, I'm not sure you would have known about it if I didn't call you up 2 months ago, because Kingsborough West did not come out and say this is what's going on. They will do, Vital Brooklyn will do exactly what happened at Canva for Clarkson Estates on, which is just a few doors down, in which they came to CB9 in May of 2022. And then they said, by the way, here's what we're building. We're having a vote on this in 3 weeks. So the community board couldn't do nothing. They tell people at the very last moment, I just want people to be informed. I just want them to go to Kingsborough West, Vital Brooklyn on the internet and to see what's going on. And if you have other information that's to the contrary, where you just quoted some figures that I'm not sure are entirely accurate, where are you getting your figures from? Could you tell us where on the internet you're getting them from?
Because when you, since you asked for the request, when you raised the issue, and I said to you, if I think something is not good for my community, I will join your fight to stop whatever it is. Because I know, and you disclosed, you said to me, you have some persons who own property close to it, you're concerned about it. I'm like, I will put aside everything and ensure that we're not, and when I found out the facts, that the
Okay.
rents, first of all, it is not a
Where are you
land
getting your
people.
information?
I stopped,
Everyone.
1 second, please. I stopped.
Everyone.
Once I got the facts, I said, I am not going to deprive persons of color the opportunity to rent apartments. And no, it's not for mad people. It's for anybody except certain amounts are set aside for senior housing. I am not going to deprive our community of what is truly affordable because, as I said before, when we hear affordable, we know it's $100,000 per persons, 3,000-4,000. These are rents that are less than $1,500 a month, based on the numbers I where I got information from. They could have some higher, so don't hold me to it. But I'm talking about the rent starting extremely low.
Okay, everyone. This has been very heated and very informative, but it's almost 8:30, so I want to try and move on a little bit so this way we can try and wrap up what we're trying to do here. As far as the town hall goes, I have some information already, and that would be great. And I'll check out the places that you suggested for holding it. And also consider the people for invitations. And it's a good idea that we invite the other group to learn more information. I'll look into doing that with Ms. Frazier. Me and Ms. Frazier will have a conversation about that later on, so this way we can make sure that we're getting the proper information and we're giving the good information out to the people so that no one is confused. And we're all trying to work for the same thing, which is have a great community. So we want to make sure we all work together in peaceful harmony. Okay. Let's see here. Where'd my agenda go? Okay. So is there any new business for anyone before we call this meeting to an end? Any new business anyone wants to bring up? No new business. Okay. So I have my marching orders as far as checking out the different venues. And again, we're going to try to do this for January 21. So mark your calendars on that. Oh, I have one thing for you. Since I'm participating in the event happening on the 15th, if any of you are available to help me hand out flyers for the housing committee, that would be great. So this way there's more than one of us focused on housing, because I know some of the others from the other committees are going to be there as well. But it'd be nice if we have a couple of housing people there, just in case people have questions or anything. So if you're available to come, it's going to be at 6 p.m. Started for a couple of hours on the 15th. So if you're available, hit me up on the email or contact Ms. Frazier, let her know that you want to help me, and that would be awesome. And I'm going to create some flyers so that we can give out and have a sign-in sheet just in case anybody's interested in signing up for housing. And on that note, if no one has any more questions or anything else to add.
Can I say
Can I
one last
just-
comment?
Yes. Who said that? Oh, Ms. James? Go ahead.
Yeah, yes, thank you for recognizing me. I don't, the project is I think is being done by was it Canva? I think that's what it is. I have
Wrong.
no,
Wrong.
who's it been done by?
It's wrong. Canva is the project which is Clarkson Estates, and that is actually down the block. That's on New York Avenue and Clarkson. And I think, Miss James, you may be confusing that project, which the information on that project has parking. They have specific parking, and it's almost a 50% ratio, which is
Okay,
decent.
sorry, you stopped me. Let me just say something. I might was going to simply say is to ask Ms. Fields to contact the district manager and, Mr. Sorry, if I apologize, whoever he thinks, I thought it was Camber. If it's not Camber, whoever the people involved, provide information to the district manager and let them come to the next meeting. And so everybody will be there to present at the next meeting rather than this going forward where we don't get all complete information. That's all I was about to say to you, Ms. Fields.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Sora, you had some to say?
Yeah, just to respond to that, to answer the question, and I think there may be some confusion between the Clarkson Estates project, which is a 322 units by New York Avenue and Clarkson, and this project, which is on Albany and Clarkson. My issue is they haven't given the community the details. I'm not saying no affordable housing and knock it down. I want the community to have a say. I want the community to be informed. I want them to have a say of 90 days before they do the general plan meeting, and I want the people of the community to make a decision. Right now, it's that the community has no voice and they tell people at the last second. And my issue is that if you oversaturate a community with homeless, mentally ill, and drug addicts in one place, which is against the fair share, and you dump the homeless in certain neighborhoods, which are Black neighborhoods, you're going to get displacement of Black homeowners and Black residents. Because if there's no place to park your car, and if there's an oversaturation of social services and stuff and homeless around the neighborhood, you have a quality of life tax. And just ask the people who live around it. And people don't like it. So I want people to be informed and to be empowered, and people are in the dark. I'm not making the decision. I want the community board to make the decision.
Thank you, Mr. Sora. Thank you. Thanks you, everyone, for your communication and your contributions to tonight's meeting. It was very heated, but we got some information that we got to look forward to, and we can look up. So this way we can make sure everyone has, the right stuff.
Yeah.
And we're going to move forward as far as getting more information. And thank you so much. I really do appreciate it because, Miss Balin, go ahead, Miss Balin.
Yes, Ms. Fields, you said something about a meeting on November 15th. Is that the meeting the Neighborhood Advisory Board is having a public hearing at the Brooklyn Public Library on the 15th?
No, actually it's something at the Seventh-day Adventist Church where they're having some sort of event, and they invited CB17 to come down tabling. And so I decided I was going to help out tabling, but then I thought, it's a good idea to also bring some housing stuff down there to reach out to the community who's going to be there to see if they want to participate in our housing committee, because I want to try and show up the committee and get more people on board, So
okay, because I have the community needs assessment. They're having something on November 15th from 6 to 7:45 p.m. a public hearing at the Brooklyn Public Library, Rugby Branch on 1000 Utica Avenue on the 15th at 6 to 7. So what time is the one that you?
Yeah, this is going to be at the Seventh-day Adventist Church at 261 East 21 Street, and it's from 6:30 to 8:30.
East what street?
East 21st Street at 261 East 21st Street.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So on that notion, if anyone wants to call a meeting to make a motion to adjourn, that would be great. Anyone? Anyone?
Eduardo Cameron make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Adele Bennett seconded.
you. And on that note, I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And hopefully some of you can help me on the 15th. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. Bye-bye.
Good,
Check
good,
it.
good night, everyone.
Good night. Have a good evening.
Good night.